The Kryloth warfleet emerged from hyperspace with the confidence of predators who had never known defeat. Commander Zexithor's mandibles clicked in satisfaction as his sensors displayed the human colony of New Terra sprawled across the planet's surface. Vast fields of golden crops, scattered settlements, and not a single military installation in sight. A farming world, his tactical officer hissed. No shields, no orbital defenses. The humans are even more foolish than intelligence suggested. Zexthor had crushed 17 species in his career. The humans would be the 18th. Their small empire had expanded too quickly, claimed too many resource-rich worlds. The Kryloth Dominion would remind the galaxy who the apex species truly was. Begin the invasion, Zexthor commanded. Deploy ground forces to the largest settlement. We'll make an example of them. William stood in the operations center beneath the main farming district, his weathered hands steady on the holographic interface. Around him, men and women in simple work clothes moved with practiced precision, their casual demeanor hiding decades of military experience. Their landing, Melissa reported from her station, her blonde hair tied back in a practical ponytail. 3,000 Kryloth warriors, just like we calculated. They're heading straight for the town square. William nodded, a slight smile playing at his lips. Good, let them think we're panicking. How long until they're in position? 7 minutes. Perfect. William activated the colony-wide channel. All units, this is Harvest Command. Prepare for crop rotation. To anyone listening, it sounded like a mundane farming instruction. The Kryloth intercepted the transmission and dismissed it as the confused chatter of primitives they didn't understand that humans had learned long ago. The best weapons are the ones your enemy doesn't recognize. The Kryloth warriors marched through fields of modified wheat, their exoskeletons gleaming in the double sunset. They were magnificent specimens, 3 meters tall, armed with plasma rifles, trained from birth for conquest. Behind them, dropships continued ferrying more troops planetside. Zexthor watched from orbit, pleased. The humans were fleeing before his warriors, just as they should. A few scattered groups had fired small arms, laughably primitive projectile weapons, before retreating. This would be over by nightfall. Then his tactical officer made a confused sound. Commander, the humans are running toward the warriors, not away. Zexthor leaned forward. On the screen, he watched as groups of farmers, including a man and woman, who appeared to be coordinating the others, sprinted directly into the killing zone between his advancing troops. Fools, he muttered. Then he noticed something odd. The humans weren't carrying weapons. They were carrying tools, farming equipment. What are they? His question was answered when William pressed a button on the device in his hand. The fields erupted, what the Kryloth had dismissed as simple wheat was actually a genetically engineered species called Thanatos grain. Each stalk contained pressurized spores that, when activated, released a compound specifically tailored to Kryloth biology. The spores didn't kill. Humans had learned that dead enemies told no tales. Instead, they paralyzed. 3,000 Kryloth warriors collapsed simultaneously, their nervous systems locked, their weapons clattering to the ground. They remained conscious, watching in horror as the farmers approached. Melissa reached the nearest warrior first, her tool, which the Kryloth now recognized as a harvesting device, humming to life. You know what the best thing about farming is? She asked conversationally, knowing the warrior's translator would convey her words. You learn to work with what you have, adapt, improvise, cultivate. William joined her, surveying the field of immobilized aliens. The Kryloth have excellent exoskeletons, military-grade armor, advanced weapons. You've been conquering worlds with inferior technology for centuries. He knelt beside one paralyzed warrior. But here's what you didn't know about humans. We're very good at recycling. In orbit, Zexthor watched his ground forces' vital signs. Alive. All of them alive, but unresponsive. What sorcery? Commander? His sensor operator shrieked. Multiple contacts emerging from underground. Hundreds of them. The fields opened up, and from hidden silos beneath the farmland, human combat mechs rose like metal crops ready for harvest. But these weren't standard human military units. These mechs were wearing Kryloth armor, wielding Kryloth weapons, powered by Kryloth technology, all of it harvested from previous farming operations on other worlds. Melissa's voice broadcast on all frequencies, including the Kryloth command channel. You're not the first species to underestimate a farming colony. We've been cultivating defenses from 15 different aggressive species. Your armor will make an excellent addition to our collection. William added, every weapon you've brought today will be repurposed. Every piece of technology studied and replicated. You came here to harvest us, but you've just become part of our crop yield. The human mechs launched skyward, engaging the Kryloth dropships with their own plasma weapons. The shocked pilots found themselves fighting their own technology, wielded by enemies who had spent years studying every weakness in Kryloth military doctrine. 3 hours later, the Kryloth warfleet retreated, leaving behind their ground forces, most of their dropships and their dignity. Zexthor's career was over. He'd been defeated not by a military power but by farmers. William watched them go from the operations center, Melissa beside him. Think they'll spread the word? She asked. They always do, William replied. That's why we let them leave. By next month, every aggressive species in the sector will know. Humans don't just fight back. We harvest our enemies and plant them against the next threat. Melissa smiled, pulling up agricultural reports. Speaking of which, the Henderson colony reported contact with the Vrax Empire. They're requesting seeds for Thanatos grain. Send them a full starter kit, William said, with instructions for adapting it to Vrax biology. He looked out over the fields where his people were already processing captured Kryloth equipment, integrating it into their defenses, studying it for weaknesses. On Earth, humanity's ancestors had beaten swords into plowshares. But in the stars, humans had learned something more terrifying. They could beat anything into anything else. Begin planting season, William announced, and across New Terra, the farmers, who had once been soldiers, scientists, engineers, and now were all three, returned to their work, cultivating the most dangerous crop in the galaxy, human ingenuity. The Kryloth had thought it was just a farming colony. They'd never been more wrong.